The wind sang its lonely hymn across the Wyoming plains, brushing over Sagebrush Ridge where the sky stretched wide enough to swallow every secret a heart could hold. Carter Hale rode through that open country the same way he had for 15 years, quiet, steady, and carrying the kind of sorrow a man learned to shoulder without letting it break him. Folks in Larkspur Valley called him a ghost cowboy, drifting from ranch to ranch doing heavy work no one else wanted, always arriving alone and always leaving with fewer words than he'd spoken. But tonight, under a sky trembling with stars, he found something, or rather, someone, waiting for him on the steps of the old Buckhorn Chapel. Evelyn Maris, wrapped in a faded blue shawl that trembled around her like a cloud of memory, lifted her chin as he rode near. She had buried her husband 6 months back, the same man Carter once called friend, though Ethan Maris had driven him away long before the fever took him. The townsfolk whispered about Evelyn's grief, about how she still visited the chapel every night, lighting candles as if trying to guide her husband home. But when Carter dismounted and saw the way her eyes shone in the moonlight, raw, exhausted, but burning with something fiercer than grief, he sensed that tonight she wasn't there to pray. She stepped toward him, fingertips trembling, breath unsteady, and the night seemed to hold its breath with her. "Carter," she whispered, voice cracked like a long-unused violin string. I need a favor. One night. Just one." She swallowed hard, eyes searching his face as if she feared she'd lose her courage. "Make me your wife just for tonight." The words stunned him deeper than a bucking horse's kick. Carter had known pain, loss, longing, but never had he seen a woman look so desperate to feel something other than emptiness. He tried to speak, but the words tangled in his throat. Evelyn stepped closer, laying her palm against his chest, right over the heartbeat he'd nearly forgotten he had. "I don't want forever," she whispered. "I don't even want promises. I just want to remember what it feels like to be chosen. To be held. To matter." Her voice trembled, but her gaze never wavered. And though every memory of Ethan Maris clawed through Carter's mind, a deeper truth rose to the surface: Evelyn was drowning, and for the first time in years, someone was reaching for him instead of pushing him away. The wind quieted, the chapel lantern flickered, and Carter realized that some moments in life asked a man to be braver than he planned. So he took her hand, slowly, gently, as if holding something fragile enough to break under the weight of a breath. "If tonight is all you want," he murmured, "then tonight, Evelyn. I'll be whatever you need." Her sigh trembled like a prayer freed from a locked chest. She leaned into him, and for the first time in years, Carter felt the world shift, not away from him, but toward him. And as he guided her into the chapel where shadows danced like old memories, he wondered whether one night could ever be enough for two hearts that had been broken by the same man, and whether destiny was finally taking its time with them. The morning sun broke over Sagebrush Ridge in soft gold streaks, but the warmth did nothing to quiet the storm inside Carter Hale's chest. He woke in the small guest room behind the chapel, Evelyn curled against him with her cheek resting over his heartbeat as though she had finally found a place where her grief could loosen its claws. He didn't move at first, not because he feared waking her, but because he feared understanding what the night had done to him. She stirred gently, blinking awake like someone returning from a dream she wasn't ready to leave behind. The look she gave him wasn't filled with regret, nor shame, nor desperation. It was soft. Honest. Aching. "Thank you," she whispered, brushing her fingers along his jaw. "For giving me a night without loneliness." But Carter felt the truth press against his ribs: last night had changed him. It wasn't something he could fold up neatly and tuck away like a borrowed blanket. He had held her as she cried, kissed the places where sorrow lived, listened to her stories of Ethan, of love that had been real but complicated, of guilt that still dug its nails into her. And she had listened in return, really listened, to the ache he carried from losing his family ranch, from watching everyone he cared for drift away, from walking through life like a man waiting for something unnamed. They had talked for hours, and for the first time in years, Carter felt seen. Evelyn rose from the bed, gathering her shawl, but her hands trembled, not with uncertainty, but with the weight of a choice she didn't know how to make. "Last night was meant to be one night," she said quietly. "Nothing more. I told myself it couldn't be." She looked at him over her shoulder, and the loneliness in her eyes was deeper than any grave. "But I don't feel the way I expected to feel now." Carter stood, the wooden floor cool beneath his bare feet. "Evelyn, what are you afraid of?" She turned fully then, eyes wet, expression raw. "That I might be betraying him. That I don't deserve another chance. That you and I, that we, her voice cracked like lightning hitting a dry field. He crossed the room in 3 strides and took her hands, grounding her trembling fingers with his steady grip. Ethan is gone, Carter said softly. But you're still here. Hurting. Living. Needing. None of that is betrayal. Evelyn's tears spilled, quiet and unashamed, and she pressed her forehead to his. I don't know how to move forward without drowning. Then let me walk with you, he whispered. Not for one night. Not for pretend. For real. She gasped, breath catching on the edge of hope she'd buried beneath grief. Carter held her tighter, feeling her heart beat against his like 2 halves, remembering they belonged to something whole. I can't promise I won't mess things up, she murmured. I can't promise I won't miss him. You don't have to, Carter said. All I'm asking is a chance. She looked up at him then, slowly, like someone discovering sunrise after a lifetime of dusk. And in that fragile, breathtaking moment, Carter saw not a widow, not a broken woman, not a lonely soul, but someone choosing to live again. A long silence stretched between them, the kind carved from destiny rather than doubt. Then Evelyn Maris, who had asked for a single night as someone's wife, took a trembling breath and gave him more than he'd expected. Carter, if you're willing, she whispered, then I want that chance too. And as he folded her into his arms, the plains outside the chapel bloomed with morning light, as if the whole world exhaled in relief. Not every love story began with forever. Some began with grief, with courage, with one borrowed night that turned into something neither heart could walk away from. And the cowboy who once wandered alone knew, with absolute certainty, that this was only the beginning.